Yesterday, the fourth round of the Caraboa Cup commenced, with notable teams advancing with the likes of Liverpool, Manchester United, Spurs, and, of course, Arsenal. And now Arsenal advancing, to me, is pretty notable because Mikel Arteta has come under a lot of fire recently due to the fact that he's only won one trophy so far during his tenure at Arsenal. And now, in my personal opinion, I think that this criticism on Arteta gets way overblown, if we're all being honest. Look, Arteta's only won one trophy, however, there's been clear improvements at the club since he's been manager. If you look at the likes of United, for instance, last season they won an FA Cup where Arsenal didn't win a trophy, but Arsenal finished second while United finished 8th, and there were clear improvements that still needed to be made at Manchester United. Now, Arsenal have improved season after season, making integral signings to improve the team. And I think Arteta's doing a really, really good job. And to a certain extent, I understand the criticism with the lack of trophies that are put towards him. But I also feel as though they're a little overblown. You know, as football fans, we all want to see our clubs win trophies. But I do think that sometimes you need to take into consideration the improvement within a team in comparison to just winning a trophy. I would take a second place finish challenging for the Premier League on the last day versus winning an FA Cup and coming in 8th. And that's no shade to Manchester United, because I think that there are a lot of United fans that would agree with that sentiment. And when you look at the run of fixtures left in the Caraboa Cup, Arsenal have Crystal Palace in the next round. Given the run of form that Crystal Palace have been on so far this season, they've been really underwhelming for me. Granted, they have a lot of talent within that team still, but I've been fairly unimpressed with Palace so far this season, and I think Arsenal should win that game, progressing them into the semi-finals. And I think that if Arsenal, at the very least, win a Carabao Cup, I do think that a lot of the criticism pointed towards Arteta will kind of step back a little bit. But also, too, on the flip side, I think if Arteta wins a Carabao Cup, critics are just going to come out and say, well, it's only the Carabao Cup. Which, like, yeah, but we've been talking about how he hasn't won a trophy in a couple years, and now he wins a trophy and the trophy isn't good enough. I feel as though Arsenal are probably just going to get criticism until they win a Premier League or a Champions League. Or, hypothetically, if they were to win a double, let's say they won the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup, or even if they just won the FA Cup, I think a lot of that criticism will subside. I think a lot of people don't respect the Carabao Cup. I mean, out of the 4 trophies that you could win as a Premier League team, I feel as though it's probably less important than a lot of the other trophies. It's kind of like the Europa League to the FA Cup. Like, yeah, it's a big trophy, but at the end of the day, it's not the big one. You'd rather win the FA Cup. But I do think that when it comes to Arsenal, I feel as though the criticism towards Arteta is overblown, but it's valid to a certain extent. You got to win trophies. If you're going to be a big team, you're going to be making all these big signings, you do have to win some trophies. If you look at Liverpool, for instance, during the Klopp era, we fell up short many times in the Premier League. However, there were other trophies that we won that supplemented not winning the Premier League, and we felt as though we were still on the path towards success. And I feel as though with Arsenal, there's clear improvements, and they're doing extremely well. I don't want to downplay how well Arsenal have done so far, but I feel as though without winning those trophies, everyone's going to start to look around and question whether he is the guy long-term for the job. I think he is the long-term answer for Arsenal. I think the fact that, you know, Arsenal haven't won an FA Cup or Carabao Cup in a couple seasons is honestly surprising. I would have expected them to have won a trophy of that magnitude since their last, I think it was an FA Cup victory with Arteta. It just goes to show how high the value of trophies is in the Premier League. I mean, you look at a guy like Erik ten Hag, he literally kept his job at Manchester United due to the fact that he won 2 trophies in 2 seasons. It almost got overlooked how abysmal he had been due to the fact that he put 2 trophies in the cabinet. And I feel as though with Arteta, it's the reverse. You don't notice how quality and class he has been at Arsenal because it's been a while since he's won a trophy. I personally think that if you're an Arsenal fan, you just have to hold off, and I think Arsenal will win a trophy this season. I don't know if it will be the Premier League or the Champions League, But I think if you're a fan of Arsenal, if you win the Carabao Cup or the FA Cup, I think that criticism will subside a little bit. I don't think it will go away entirely because you want that big ticket item. You know, I was comparing Liverpool earlier. While we came up short in the Premier League several times, we won a Champions League, went to the final 2 other times, although we lost. I think Arsenal really need to get a Carabao Cup or FA Cup under their belt and make a push for the Premier League again. But even if they don't, I do think Arteta is the man for the job long term. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, click that notification bell so you know every time I make a new video. Also, follow me on Twitter. My link is down below in the description. I appreciate you guys for all the support you give me, and I will see you on the next one. Peace.